Any sponsorship deal?
So we found the shoulder in 2023, and it didn't work out. The guy got the animation industry isn't all, I don't want to say it's even back to where it was, but you couldn't do anything with it. Nobody wanted another Sonic the Hedgehog on IP like ours, so we shook hands and walked away. But I wasn't finished. I said, this has got potential now. So I reached out and found somebody else. Mitchell Altieri, he's from Canada, and he's worked on a number of Canadian animation series. So what we did was to sell it. We pivoted towards environmental science education as part of the idea for cartoons. So we actually came here 2 years. Came here last year, the Kids Screen Festival, the animation festival, and I made a cartoon version of the comic book pages, make it look like on screen, like the old Marvel cartoon.
Sure.
Tours flying across the screen like a flat cardboard camera. We made a cartoon like that just to give people an idea what it would look like. We had a really cool pitch deck. And that meeting, we signed a deal with TVO Ontario. They optioned it. That was only part one of this. It's a funny way, animation is a funny thing, because that was only one part of the deal. We weren't finished, so now we have to go back this year to find the studio. So we think we found one that actually does animation and toys. So right now, this week actually, I called him yesterday, and I said, what can I say to this panel? You know? He goes, just mention the TV Ontario thing. Don't mention X, but say that like we are this close again. And he's trying to get the best deal for everybody. So yeah, that's basically how I did it. Just LinkedIn Pro, you can't go wrong there. And they're all out there. If you have a book, you have determination, you reach out to people.
All right, which one of you in the panel out there actually works for LinkedIn? Because he's definitely getting a check. I just love hearing about like where the creations come from, where the stories came from, where you take it after like, okay, here's the initial concept, where are we moving to with the project? And you mentioned something that I think Michael can actually speak on a little bit because he also has Kung Fu Legume involved with being a cartoon. And like Niall said that, it's only part one of the story, that's where we began. But go ahead and talk about Kung Fu Legume first of all, because I know we have 4 issues of the series downstairs, and if people haven't read it, it is a very cute book. Fully done by Michael. He kills it on everything he does, but you can see the love that he puts into that one. So talk us through it, and then tell us where you are with the cartoon.
So Kung Fu Legume is about a kung fu fighting team that teams up with a little girl genius named Monkey and her robot grandpa. They go on this huge adventure together. It's really cute, kind of wacky. And before I go into anything, I want to say thank you to LinkedIn Pro.
The Keenspot panel this year has been brought to you.
I talked to Niall, and I was voicing some concerns of trying to find someone that step in and help, and he was giving me the spiel. So I signed up for his subscription that he is offering. He gets a discount, I think. And I was able to find a new showrunner, and we are kind of retooling some things for a little different age group for the animated series, and hoping after this fall we have some more news on that.
Well, not only that, but didn't you also talk to somebody about another project that he gave us some feedback on our pitch deck and everything? So we're going to start pitching another little buddy out there.
Yeah, that would be ZOR. So that's going to be the next one we really start focusing on. If you haven't seen ZOR, please stop by and I'll give you a copy.
Or a trading card.
Yeah, we have a trading card.
Or trading card
story on it.
With ZOR, obviously, we've talked a little bit about it in the past. We've got a new book coming up in September, ZOR Spooky Special. That one, I point out, is the first time that the little girl, Zoe, doesn't lose something to actually start the whole ZOR adventure. And it's really about ZOR being mischievous and everything. Michael unfortunately was working on other projects, but he did give me the blessing to bring in Eric Marshall, who is at Saturday Morning Cards, I believe. You can see the giant poster on the wall in around the 2600 area. So I want to give him his shout out because Eric has done some absolutely phenomenal work on this. And I wouldn't have done the book if Michael didn't give his blessing and wasn't involved with it. So, Michael, you read it. What did you think? What's that?
You did a great job.
So what do you think of the story and everything and where it goes from now?
Yeah, it's great.
So, all right. Now that we've talked about that, I want to go ahead and talk about a project that is near and dear to Matthew Cole's heart down at the end. Pooh Bear Adventures, and if you don't know what this book is, it is taking the kids' comics world by storm. Multiple sellouts on the first week, actually even before I think it was shipped out by Lunar, it was already sold out at most major retailers. Matt, why don't you go ahead and talk to us a little about, obviously you brought in Glopple to Keenspot, and then after you did that, you had this crazy idea to take A.A. Milne's creation and just run with it. So please talk to me a little bit about that.
I appreciate it, and thank you so much, everybody, for being here. One thing that I've always loved, especially as a child, you heard the PG-13 R-rated, I'm the G. Remember G back in the day? Like general audience, that's me, okay? But my goal in everything that I do, from Glopple to Pooh Bear Adventures, is to get kids into reading comic books, okay? My favorite medium on the planet, that's why we're all here, San Diego Comic-Con and International. But my whole goal, guys and gals, is to get kids reading comic books. And so I had last year, I think it was August, I had this idea of bringing A.A. Milne and E.H. Shepard's stories from 1926. It's 100 years old. Okay, Winnie the Pooh is older than Superman. Winnie the Pooh is older than Batman, Spider-Man. Okay, if y'all didn't know that, Winnie the Pooh's old. Okay. And I wanted to bring back these original stories, but in a way that that really would honor the original creators, and that I would honor what they do. And I think, I don't know what y'all think, but I think we need more Pooh Bear in the world today. I think we need more good in the world today. I think there needs to be good stories where kids can read and get a valuable lesson out of something and learn something. I don't know. As I look in the audience, many of you remember Masters of the Universe?
Yes.
Remember the cartoon, and after every single episode, what did He-Man do? He told, hey kids, this is what happened with Skeletor, and you learn something. So at the end of every single Pooh Bear Adventure book, there is a moral to the story, Ron. There's a moral to, they learned something throughout the book. So yeah, it was, I'll be honest, it was kind of scary, because Disney, that's how I got into Winnie the Pooh. My aunt is actually the editor of the book. Her name's Deborah Fredericks. She's the one that got me into Winnie the Pooh. But I was actually kind of nervous. I was like, man, is this going to be, you got to be really careful, He obviously can't be a red shirt Pooh, okay? But I wanted to bring something back that is timeless, that is classic, and to show the next generation Pooh Bear in comic book form. And according to what I've found out, Rob, I did some research the past few months, and the way that Tessa Rose, I'm going to tell you about her real quick. Tessa Rose is the artist of Pooh Bear Adventures, and this is what's really cool about her. Every single panel, every single cover is all hand-drawn, hand-painted with acrylic paint. Okay, the whole book. There's nothing digital, nothing digital. It's all hand-painted. And I really believe that's a big reason why, Rob, the book really blew up. According to some statistics that I've read over this past weekend, it's one of the biggest kids comics in America right now. And I feel really humbled by that because, like I said, Rob, I was really nervous. I was like, man, is this going to go? It can go one or two ways. It can go really good or really bad. And I'm humbled, I'm honored, through all of my books, through Glopple Girl Rasp versus Bash is coming out. Pooh Bear Adventures. Anyone can be a hero. Anybody. Anyone can be a hero, even you. I travel all across Texas. I'm from Texas. If you can't tell, yeehaw, how you doing? I travel all across the state of Texas. I travel in the Midwest. I'll be going up to the New England states that I visit. You know where I go? You know where kids are? Let me tell you real quick. They're not at comic shops, unfortunately. They're getting there. They're getting there, like Free Comic Book Day. But you know where kids are? Schools. So I go to schools all across the Midwest, southern states. I'm going to be going up to New England. I now talk to thousands of children about this great medium called comic books. To get them into it, because guess what? When a kid holds it, they're kind of like, what is this? And sorry, Johnny Flores right here. He is the artist of the Tigger's the Only One, just came out yesterday. Tigger just came out yesterday. But we used to roll these up and put them in our back pocket. We used to read them. We should show our friends and get excited about it, right? So I go to schools and tell children about how awesome comics are. And once they get it in their hand and they look at it, guess what, Rob? Panelists, they love it. They love it. So, sorry, got to talk a little bit too long about it.
But one of the things that you mentioned that I think actually all of the all ages books that Keenspot tries to do is we try to educate. You know, Niall just said that Squish and Squash, they're going for a science education type gig with that when they're doing their cartoon pitch. You know, Michael and I, we when we did ZOR, we absolutely made it about a little girl trying to overcome a tragedy in her life and going from there. Junior high honors for me was specifically about, you know, the weird kids in school trying to overcome adversity. So I mean, like teaching, you know, trying to tell people it's okay to be different, you know, all those types of things. But obviously, when you're taking a character like Pooh, you're really having to make sure that you play within the lines, but also still trying to do something new, creative, and different. Right. And I think you guys do a great job with that book with it.